I'm about to tell you a story of how I was riding my motorcycle one day, and this fella right here pulled me over and gave me a ticket for something I didn't do. And then I'm gonna tell you how I beat that ticket in court. Pay attention, this is a good story. You can find out how to beat your ticket yourself. So I filmed this incident back on 2014, July 4th weekend. I'd heard several reports of cops being out, wall-to-wall cops being out everywhere. And just before I started coming back into town, I hit record on my action cam that was mounted to the side of my helmet. And just a few seconds after I hit record, I saw a trooper had somebody pulled over on the side of the road up here, and I started slowing down when I saw this guy's brake lights here. And if you'll look over to the side, you can see the trooper pulling off back onto the interstate. So everybody started slowing down at this point. We weren't going really that fast. I think the speed limit's about 70 here, and we were doing about 80. But trooper got up to about our speed, and then he sped off. And he was doing probably 80, 85, and I got in, just kind of followed him into town. We're just on the outskirts of town here on 459, heading south towards Hoover. And I just kind of stayed in, maybe quarter mile behind him. Always kept him in sight, didn't want him to slip off somewhere and get on behind me, so I kind of kept him in sight. But we were both obviously speeding, so I guess he could have gotten me for speeding, but that's not what actually happened. I followed him into Hoover, where I started seeing all the other cops that were sitting on the side of the road. Lots of county sheriffs and lots of municipalities in this. Specifically, we're rolling into Hoover here, and you'll see quite a few cops over here if you look closely. But apparently, after he pulled me over, that's exactly what he said. He thought I was one of the cops that was following him. And when I passed him, he apparently got upset that I wasn't a cop and decided that I was doing something reckless behind him. And I guess maybe I could have been with the pass that I do right here. But this car slows down in front of me, and I just zip around him and get back into the lane. And apparently, you can't even see the trooper up here as I passed him, and he said that I did not use my signal. He said the first thing out of his mouth, I was weaving in and out of traffic, which that was the only lane change I made the whole time I was behind him, those two lane changes, into the middle and back to the left. And he said, I can go back in and look at everything. There's a cop right there, and he's pulling off into the median here. I thought he was going to turn around and run radar, but he just slips in right behind me, guns it, gets up on my butt, and about this time, this is my exit anyway, so I'm signaling right here to get off on my exit. I'm probably less than a mile from home at this point, but I hear him roaring up behind me, and I'm thinking maybe he's pulling somebody else over, but no, he's pulling me over. And it's quite an interesting exchange, and pretty much everything he said was a lie. And then he proceeded to write a ticket. I will say at this point, I am not a cop hater. Cops have a job to do, and I support cops. Most of the cops I've ever met I like, but they do have quite a tremendous amount of power. And it was just a good thing that I had my camera rolling that day, as he said he had cameras rolling too.
What'd I do?
That bad dude.
What now?
Weaving in and out of traffic. You know I was up here, but you're still weaving in and out of traffic. No turn signal. Where are you going to?
Weaving?
Weaving in and out of traffic. You're past the black car. 2 lane changes right there with no signal. And I have to go back and look at the rest of them if I need to. Well, what's this doing?
Oh, hey, all right.
So as you could see, there was some clear lack of communication, mostly because of my helmet and being on the side of the interstate where I couldn't hear anything he was saying. But I thought he was trying to write me a ticket for weaving, and I'd only made 2 lane changes. And that pretty much upset me that that was what he was charging. Then I found out he was writing me a ticket for failure to signal. There's no way he could have seen whether I'd signaled or not from his perspective. And my tiny little turn signals on the front of this motorcycle, he was 40 yards in front of me. It did become clear after our next interaction that he was angry at me for some reason, and I'm guessing it was the fact that he thought that I was a motorcycle cop following him. And then when he found out that I wasn't, he got angry for some reason. I don't understand why he pulled me over, but for some reason he was angry, and this is some injustice I could not stand for.
I actually thought you were on that motorcycle units. That's why I had to get a better video for myself. So
I'm having a hard time hearing you. What did you say?
I thought you were on their motorcycle units. They got motorcycle units out there that's been patrolling out here on 459 for the past couple of days. That's what I thought you actually were. And if you have any questions, you need to call this number here for Officer 19, Wayne County, Tennessee. Before you left and right signal, I should have worked.
Yeah, I was gonna say I signal. I always signal. Maybe it was too fast. I don't know.
You went from the black car to the left lane, to the middle lane, then back to the left lane. No signal.
There was a car. The car behind you slowed down. I got out of his way, and then I went around it. That's all. That's the only lane change I made. What now?
I didn't go any further back on the video. That's all I need is that one.
So moving over and then moving back into the lane is weaving?
You went from the left lane to the middle lane, then back over to the left lane.
Because that car behind you slowed down.
Okay.
So you can't change lanes?
You can change lanes. You got to use the signal to do it.
Okay. Well, I'll go back and look at my video to make sure I signal.
So I was pretty pissed at this point. I was only a mile from home, but I was determined at this point that I was going to pull the video off and go back and look at it and then see if I could make my case, and that's exactly what I did. So as soon as I got back to the house, I started reviewing the footage, and as you can see, the whole time I was behind the trooper here, I maintained the fast lane, doing about the same speed that he was, until we got into slower traffic, and he got into in front of some people that started slowing down. So that's when the first lane change came, and you can see the car directly in front of me here slowed down dramatically, and I just moved out of his way and went right around him, since he was in the passing lane and not passing. And then you can see the trooper up ahead. He's actually 2 cars ahead of me here. And you can see from this diagram, you can clearly see the car in front of me, directly in front of me, before I pass him, is vehicle number 1. Vehicle number 2 is the one I will be behind shortly. Vehicle number 3 is the vehicle that's in front of vehicle number 2. And then Trooper Smith is in front of vehicle number 3. And I find it quite odd that he could think that he could possibly see my turn signal from that far back. I'm sure he could see my headlight, because I always ride with my headlights on. So with this overwhelming evidence, I decided I had a pretty good case, and decided that I was going to go to court and try this in front of a judge, and I felt pretty confident that I could win. And I finally got a court date 3 months later, and as I walked up to the courtroom, I saw my nemesis outside the courthouse, sitting in the comfort of his air conditioning, looking at his computer. Thought it was quite interesting. So I walked through the metal detectors and up into the courtroom, and as I sat down, I heard, "Someone just rode in on a motorcycle. I hate those things. Get you killed pretty quick." The statement roared from the bench. The judge noticed me, and he was not happy. About 3 minutes later, the trooper walks in. He looks at me, I give a head nod and a big grin. The game begins. Then as he walks past, I noticed he is carrying a laptop. A laptop? You mean he actually has video footage? What can it be? Is it any better than mine? I can't see his signals in my video. How can he have any better evidence than mine? The trooper opens the laptop and pulls up the video. From what I can see at the back of the courtroom, the video is not any better than mine, but I'm still worried. I did not expect him to have any video. After 3 more minutes, the judge says, "You, in the green shirt, come on up." I grab the backpack and the laptop. As I walk to the bench, the trooper moves over towards me. The judge looks to him and says, "Begin." Blah, blah, blah. Mr. Redmond this, blah, blah, that. He changed lanes and failed to signal. But I did signal, and I have evidence. Trooper, can you see him not signaling? Judge, I zoomed in and out, but I could not see him signaling. He is 200 yards in front of me when I make the lane change. He can't even see my bike, as I cannot see his car in my video. How do you have video? I was filming while riding. What? How are you filming while riding? I always film when I'm riding. But how do you film while riding? I have a camera attached to my helmet, and it films automatically while I'm riding, always. Does your video show you signaling? No, sir. You cannot see the signals from the rear. I realize things are not going well, but I also realize the trooper has not shown his video. What to do? Think fast, red man. The judge looks back at me, then the trooper. Uh-oh, pull out something quick. Your Honor, I do not fight tickets. I would not be here if I was guilty. I take my punishment when I am wrong, but I am not guilty, Your Honor, and that is the only reason I'm here. Well, today is your lucky day. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I was not even going to write you till you started arguing with me. Today you get the benefit of the doubt. Thank you, Your Honor. All rise as the judge leaves. I hate motorcycles. So I think a good moral of this story is never, always ride with an action camera on your chest, on your bike, on your helmet. A lot of these cameras nowadays have a looping option, so you can run it like a dash cam, and then just select different footage to save as you're riding. It really got me out of a jam, because there's no way a judge would have ever said, "Nah, trooper doesn't know what he's talking about. We're going to go with the guy that's having to pay a ticket, because, you know, his word is gold." Well, turns out I had a whole lot more proof than the trooper did. So victory was mine, and it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't an expensive ticket, but it could have been. You know, it could have been a car crash. It could have been, you know, me wrecking into somebody else. I've been driving with a dash cam in my truck for years, and I'm starting to slowly consider running a loop on my helmet cam. So I would recommend that you guys investigate that too. You never know what you're going to run into.
You're gonna kill somebody. You're gonna kill somebody. You don't even have your flashers on. You fucking shit.
It's not surprising.
Fucking asshole.
It's old-fashioned.
You asshole.
Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it!